When I went back to work after my first baby, my employer was supportive. I had my own office. I had a perfect pumping schedule. There was a fridge close by, and I was determined to make it work. I had very strong goals, and it still didn't work. My goal was to breastfeed for as long as my baby wanted, and I had planned to pump for the first year. And then after that, we could just breastfeed on the evenings, weekends, and go from there. And I didn't quite meet my goals. So today I want to share with you my story and how I could have done this differently and why I do what I do now. For the first few weeks back to work, I was pumping enough for the next day at daycare, although I was just enougher, right? But it was fine. I had no problem with that. And then it kind of slowly started to go down, just little by little. And then all of a sudden, the daycare woman, it was an in-home daycare, she was great. She's been doing this for a long time. She said, he needs a little more. And I said, I don't know how to do that, right? I can even add in an extra pumping session, but I still get about the same. So go ahead and supplement him with some formula if you need to. So she started with 1 bottle of formula a day. Eventually it was 2. And while I did hit my year mark of pumping, he was at that point, about half and half formula breast milk. And some breast milk is better than none, right? But for me, it was a little discouraging. I was already trained as a nurse. I was already a CLC. So I had had kind of a more brief training of lactation, and I had worked really hard to get where I was breastfeeding. It was not easy for me. If you want to know more about my breastfeeding story, you can go and watch this here. But I remember being so frustrated that I did not understand what was going on. I did not know how to fix this, and every day was stressful. So let me show you some of the things that I think made the biggest difference in my story to hopefully help you with yours. Okay, so the first thing, I didn't actually have that great of a plan. I had put some thought into a pumping schedule, and I tried my pump a couple times on maternity leave, and I kind of thought I was good to go. I feel like I had this weird confidence that I was so determined I was just going to make it work. I would figure it out, right? I also was a little stubborn, I think, and I'm like, I can do this myself. I don't need help. I don't even really want help because I can do this, right? And then I kind of thought it was just as simple as you put the pump on and the milk comes out and then you're good. And as long as I pump at the same times as he eats, it should be fine, right? Because on the weekends and evenings we're feeding. So the milk supply should be what it is, right? I didn't know that there was more to pumping than just putting it on and that the milk would just come out. It's not always exactly how it works. I think that's one of the hardest things about being a first-time working mom is you kind of just don't know what you don't know. And I definitely can relate to that feeling. I kind of just thought I could do it. I had a pumping schedule. I had supportive work. All the things were lining up. And I am satisfied with the amount of work and effort that I put into that. But every day it was a reminder that I was not quite good enough, right? And I didn't know why. And it was pretty frustrating. I really think it could have been better if I had had someone to help walk me through that. Which leads me to my second thing is I didn't know who to ask. So I had seen lactation consultants at the hospital. We had worked really, really hard on getting breastfeeding going because it was challenging for us. And so I knew they were there, but they didn't know a lot about pumping. And I can tell you now that I'm trained as a lactation consultant, we get 0 training on pumping. So that makes total sense. You really just have to learn it on your own, right? Or find someone that has taken the time to learn it and figure it out for you. So I also kind of didn't want to deal with my insurance. I didn't know how far out they would cover visits, or I didn't want to drag everybody back to the hospital for a visit. I don't know. It just seemed like a lot, so I didn't do it. And I wasn't even sure it was going to help me with what I needed. So that was a thing. But I had a couple other friends that were doing this, not like immediately, but had done it previously. And I think they were kind of just doing what I was doing, which was putting the pump on, letting it do its thing, and then just finding a way to make your peace with how much you got out, right? It wasn't like overly uncomfortable. Milk was coming out. So just like be okay with the, you can give half of the milk and not the other half. And so there was no one to talk to, no one to help me understand what was happening or even just comfort me and saying, actually what you're doing is normal. I didn't have any of that. And I I needed it. I don't know if I would have admitted it, but it would have made things a lot easier mentally, stress-wise on me. Okay, the third thing that made a really big impact on my pumping at work experience was I didn't really know a lot about breast pumps. So I didn't know about flange size, which I think is a big one. And I just have done a recent video on flange size, and if you want to know more, there's that. But I just used what came with the pump, and milk came out. And it wasn't that uncomfortable. Like, I mean, it didn't hurt, but it wasn't like, I mean, I've pumped enough now to know that you can pump with total comfort, and that's like a realistic thing you should shoot for. I also didn't know the effects it would have on my milk supply, not having the correct flange size. And again, milk came out. So I was like, this must be working, you know? But yeah, my flange sizes were way too big. And I also didn't know kind of the basics of like a breast pump, how to care for my pump, how to effectively wash parts and stuff. And like, I'm a nurse, I have common sense, you know what I mean? So it was good enough, but I missed that little like reassurance that I actually did know what I was doing or maybe not. So that was kind of hard for me. I didn't know really what settings to be using. I actually had a hand-me-down pump from a friend, which is a no-no. This was even an open system, the old Medela style, which is a huge no-no. I didn't know how often you were supposed to replace parts on the pump. Like it was all really confusing. And now it's even worse because there's hundreds of pumps on the market. So how do you know what pump to even get, you know? How do you know how to care for that pump? Wearable pumps versus portable pumps. So it's so much more complicated now, even than it was for me 8 years ago, because there's just more. More is not always better, right? We do have better pumps, and I'm grateful for that. But how do you do a wearable pump? Can you do that for every pump, or do you have to use your workhorse pump? Can you do a portable pump? Cups? Like, it's a lot. So I think this is probably even worse for moms now than it was for me when I went through this. Okay, the fourth thing here that I think was difficult for me was I didn't anticipate that unexpected things would come up. And saying that now, that sounds dumb because life is unexpected. But like last minute meetings, or I was a school nurse, so like a kid in my office when I was supposed to be pumping skipped alarms, like my alarm didn't go off, or I forgot to set it, or I forgot a pump part at home and now it doesn't work, or I did a whole pumping session and then I found a bug in one of the bottles. Like that actually happened. And I'm like, this is difficult to navigate, you know? So I totally messed up my pumping schedule for the day, you know? Is this okay? Like, how do I know that I didn't just totally ruin everything? How do I come back from this? I guess I wasn't expecting the unexpected, right? But that happened a lot. And thankfully now you can like Google and YouTube stuff. I'm sure that's how you found me. You're watching this YouTube video. But again, it's kind of hard to know what applies specifically to you. You know what I mean? And how do I make this work for my situation? It also takes a lot of time and energy. And I remember at the end of my work days, the last thing I wanted to do after just dealing with milk and work all day was go home and read blogs on how to deal with milk, how to fix my problems. And then I didn't even know if it applied to me. Like I remember, that's why I kind of just settled as like, I'm just going to keep doing the minimum what I know how to do. And I'm going to find a way to be mentally okay with it because I don't have the time or brain space to deal with this like on my own. And there was no help. So the unexpected stuff that comes up, I was not anticipating that, which might sound dumb. Or maybe you can relate, but I seriously thought like you get a pump, you put it on. I'd already mastered milk supply with my baby breastfeeding, so milk just comes out and pump at the same times and you're good. But there's a lot more to pumping than that. And there's a lot more things that come up with this, you know? But I kind of thought, I was a little ignorant and naive as a first-time mom, but I also knew that I was smart and capable and that I was determined. And I thought it would be easier. I thought that would be enough. And it really wasn't. I had questions come up every week and I didn't know where to get the answers, right? And they were little questions, you know, but they would kind of roll around in my brain and just cause me just a little bit of anxiety. Again, not huge, but enough that it was like, looking back, I have kind of frustrated and stressful feelings about the whole experience because I never did get a lot of these little questions answered. I could have fixed this small problem really early on and my outcome would have looked a lot different, but I didn't know and I didn't have anyone to ask, right? I also had no clue of what normal looked like. If someone had just told me, this is actually normal, right? You're getting 2 ounces combined from your breasts. This is normal. I would have been like, a huge weight lifted off. You know what I mean? Because at, 11, 12 months postpartum, that might be normal. But I had no clue. So here's what I kind of really wanted as going back to work as a first-time mom, okay? I wanted a step-by-step process of what to do. Like, I know I can figure this out, but it was like a time and brain space thing for me. I wanted just like a step-by-step, starting on my maternity leave. What do I need to do to start preparing back to work? And then when I go back to work, what are the things I need to be thinking about? And what are the things I need to not be thinking about? I see a lot of moms on maternity leave stressing or feeling guilty about, I should be pumping more, but you like barely got breastfeeding established, or you're still trying to figure it out, or you still have 4 months left on your maternity leave. I think just having a professional to say, you don't actually have to be thinking about that right now, just live your life, right? Would be so freeing. I also see a lot of moms just are unsure of how to combine breastfeeding and pumping. That's a hard thing. There's a lot of information out there on breastfeeding. There's a lot of information on pumping. Like, exclusive pumping is becoming more of a thing now. But what about these moms that are trying to combine them? You're breastfeeding and you're pumping at work, but you need to pump at home a little bit too to get ready. Like, how do we combine that? It's confusing. It was really this experience for me that has landed me where I'm at right now. I finished my board certification to become a certified lactation consultant, right? But I realized that even then, we don't get trained on breast pumps. So I took it upon myself to figure this out, right? I understand breastfeeding and the complexities there. I'm certified in that. But what about pumping, right? So I started buying breast pumps, started putting content online. As you know, there's tons of videos on this channel. Companies started sending me some, and I realized that I love helping moms do this, combine these two things and go back to work. There's not enough support for you, and I want to help fix this problem. So now I work exclusively with working moms who want to find that calm confidence to go back to work and stress about as little as possible, right? To have a step-by-step plan, to have a professional who specializes in exactly what you're trying to do, tell you that this is normal, you're doing a great job, or yeah, not quite right. Let's just do these little tiny things to make this better, and then let's move on, right? Or your baby gets sick and you're like, I have to work all week, and how do we manage that? Like, having someone next to you to figure that out can be a huge difference. I wanted that so bad. And I actually didn't know I wanted it at the time. But looking back, that would have made the difference for me in, for one, being able to meet the goals that I had wanted to. And two, looking back on that experience with more confidence in myself, that I can do this and I don't have to do it alone, right? And even just taking those daily anxieties or weekly anxieties that I had, questions that I had, and just like getting them out of my brain would have been huge for me. So that's really what I love doing. If this sounds like something that would help you, I would love to talk with you. I would love to learn about your goals and what you're looking for, what you're struggling with, and see if I'm able to help. You can schedule a call with me in the link below. When I look back on that experience, I am grateful. I am grateful for what I learned and for what it taught me. And I love what I do. I hope you can tell that I'm very passionate about helping moms navigate this thing that I struggled with and now I've mastered. And I want to help you get that same confidence that I know you can have, right? Just having someone in your back pocket, just in case, can make you feel like $1 million, right? I had this experience several times as a birth doula where I actually left feeling like, man, I didn't do a lot, but even just being there and just being there in case a question came up, in case something happened, empowered these women and families to birth with confidence. And they could do it. They just needed to know that just in case they had that thing that was right there, right? And I love this space. I would love to talk with you, really, I would, and understand your goals better. So don't hesitate to talk to me. As you know from the channel, I'm very easygoing. I'm very easy to talk to, and I love talking and learning from working moms. So thank you for being here. Keep doing a great job. I see you working hard, and I see you doing your best, and I'm proud of all of you. I love responding to your comments, so leave me some below and tell me where you're at and what you're doing. I'd love to chat. All right, see you on the next video. Bye.